everybody. It is I, Hick. It's not very good at doing this whole maintaining a YouTube channel thing or voiceover thing. I'd like to do more voiceovers, but I really can't think of anything to speak of. But I have figured out a topic for today. So, I'm gonna talk about, D&D horror story. It's not really a horror story. There's been worse D&D experiences I've had. Maybe I'll make that into a different video. I'll see. But for this one, it all starts off with online D&D group. We all know how those are. Tendency to have some interesting characters. Our interesting characters of today, I will refer to them as their player character's name. They will be referred to as Necron. So basically, there's me and my character Nove, who I'm drawing on screen. There's the DM, who I still talk to. There is Necron, as the story's about him. And there's another character in Altheron, but they're not really. They're kind of in the background. So this campaign was a mess. Aptly named Chaos Campaign after a few sessions, because it was, an experience. It was a fun disaster. Well, sometimes it was just too chaotic to be enjoyed, but, ups and downs. So Necron, first session, he played an entirely different character, who I forgot their name. It was probably something also edgy, but their character was a serial killer, but, murder hobo, killing everything left and right. That was just too chaotic for this campaign. So they decided to change it, because he was like, this is a little much, and it's like, you think? And then he changed to his character, Necron, who wasn't really all that much better. Still a murder hobo. He had, a tendency to kill NPCs, try to kill the other player characters, and by other player characters, I mean my character. I don't know what he had against Nove. I mean, I kind of know. Nove was a very chaotic individual, not murder hoboy. Had a tendency to, mess with people. Not to a greater degree, more like little pranks here and there, but for the most part, they just said dumb things, which, I don't know, I guess that was just something to be so pressed about. So, Nove and Necron had a not great relationship. I don't know why. Necron was just, he got so pressed about many things. So Necron, as a player, he had this tendency to be very demanding and hissy. So at the start of the campaign, he would constantly ask the DM to do certain things or make accept his overpowered homebrews or whatever. He's like, I want a lightsaber. He would ask that for so long. And, there's the Sun Sword, which is, kind of based off the lightsaber. But, if you had an actual lightsaber, that'd just be too... But he was like, no, I want an actual Star Wars lightsaber. And the DM had to tell him over and over again, no. And then he moved on to, I want to be able to play as Goku. And, I guess some DMs would allow it, but he didn't want to play as a character based on Goku. Whereas, there's the Sun Soul Monk, which I'm pretty sure it's, kind of based off of the whole Saiyan thing. So he could have just done that if he wanted to so badly. But he was like, no, I want to be Goku. I want to be overpowered and just destroy everything. And the DM was like, clearly you don't want that. So DM was like, no. And he would demand that for so long. He would just be asking for things constantly. And I don't know. I mean, he was already playing this edgy warlock wizard whose arcane focus was the skull of his dead sister, and who was a tiefling, a pitch black tiefling with blood red eyes and dark purple hair, whose enemies with Asimars, and was actually a couple million years old, and worked for the god of death before they started the campaign. Classic cream of the crop edgy boy. But and if the story was, he also had a zombie girlfriend who he, did the do with. That was interesting. But anyways, so Necron had a very bad habit of wanting to be the center of attention so badly. He would always, if the story was not focused on his character, or his character killing somebody, or his character finding the evil sword that belonged to the god of death to revive his sister, or hating Asimars or whatever, he would be very, he'd have an attitude, be very grouchy, grumpy, demand, hey, when is my character stuff gonna come up? It's like, this campaign has been mostly your character. Can you shut up? Anyways, I mean, my character didn't get really all that much focus. And my character, nothing I would hope for my character happened, so you don't see me complaining. Well, I guess I'm complaining now, but, it is what it is. You don't see me screaming at the DM about it. And when I say scream, I mean scream. He would get into verbal arguments with the DM a lot and just, try to override the DM's rules. And, yes, this campaign is a mess. The DM let him go away with so much, but he still was not satisfied and still wanted more. I don't know what his issue was. But anyways, so the DM, eventually we get to this point. So he would try to kill my character multiple times, and the only real rule was don't kill the other player characters, but he couldn't follow those because it was just all about him. It's what his character would do, and he'd use that excuse so much. And yes, it was a roleplay game, and you should kind of go along with what your character wants, but you shouldn't do it to such a degree where it would go against the group or make ruin everyone else's fun, because he would just do whatever he wanted, and just blanket statement, it's what my character would do, it's in character. That only takes you so far. But he would always use this excuse, especially when trying to kill my PC. So, I don't know, am I repeating myself? Whatever. But, we got to this point in the story where our characters were ambushed and taken to a prison. Rightly so, except for my character, Nove. He's committed many crimes, none of which he was arrested for. He's always been arrested for things he doesn't do, which is weird. But, so we get there, right? There's this dude who has time travel powers. We kill him rather easily. You'd think a dude with time travel powers would be harder to kill, but he's not. And so I jokingly asked the DM, hey, can Nove have these time travel powers? And Necron is speaking over me. It's like, hey, I want this weapon. I want their weapons. I want their bombs. I want this and that. This man was interesting. So the DM was ignoring him as he went on about weapons. He's like, yeah, he can have the time travel powers. I'm sick. And this prison had an anti-magic force field, so we had to take him outside to, I guess, strip the time powers from him. It is what it is. So my character was dragging out the body outside, and Necron is like, hey, I also want time travel powers. And the DM was like, well, there's only one guy, and I asked for it first, right? And he's like, no, but I demand time travel powers too. And it wasn't even crazy time travel powers. There was going to be a limit where my character could only reverse time backwards 1 hour once a day, which I guess by D&D standards, very powerful thing to have. But considering what happened in this game, it was not very helpful, except for once, but even then, kind of useless. So we get there. So the DM was like, fine, you guys can race outside to see who gets it first. So we were grabbing the body back and forth, trying to run outside. And my character puts Necron to sleep and runs out with the body and gets the time travel powers. Yay! But Necron gets so heated, and jokingly, my character takes a book off of this dude. Some evil magic book that he stole from some NPCs he murdered for whatever reason. And Necron wakes up because the sleep spell only lasts for a minute, so it didn't take very long. And he's like, give me back my book. And I'm like, well, your character doesn't know I took the book off you, so you're going to have to make a check. So he passes his check or whatever. And my character is like, okay, I'll give you back your book, but all you have to do is say please. Because, he's a little bit of a tease. He's, a jokey kind of guy. And this man's so heated. He was like, no, I'm not going to say sorry. And I'm like, come on, dude, it's just sorry. It's not that big of a deal. He's like, well, it's not what my character would do. It's like, oh, okay. I'm sure it's not, but like, dude, it's not that big of a deal. And I guess this just set him off the edge, and he immediately started trying to kill my character. And the DM stepped in, and they were like, "Hey, we've talked about this. You can't keep trying to kill other people's characters." And he gets into a yelling match with them again, and he kept saying such mean, out of pocket stuff like, "Oh, you're just a terrible, terrible DM. You suck at this. I don't know why you keep trying," calling them a bitch and all these other things. It's just unnecessary. It was only like for 30 minutes. Me and the other player near there, we're just sitting there awkwardly like, okay. And so we ends off with Necron getting in his big last word statement. "You know what? You're just a bitch and don't want to admit that you suck. Blah, 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 blah." Trying to make himself sound all cool. And then he gets off the group chat and deletes himself from the server. And then it's silence. And oh god, it's probably for the best he left. Not that the campaign got any much better, because for some reason it kept going on. Miracles, I guess. It probably would have been worse if he was still there, but it is what it is. I keep saying that a lot. I should stop saying that. But yeah, that's kind of it. Yeah. That's my D&D horror story for today. Not really a horror story, just a unfortunate player experience. But, no, I was about to say it again. Well, that's all I have for today. Goodbye. Thank you if you've listened through. Maybe I'll have another story for next time. Goodbye.